Hi guys, Shabani Bhaskar here. Today we're going to look at some forward diving and I hope it's really helpful. Thanks for requesting it. Well, I got my sleeves and I got my pants, so I'm ready for some diving. A couple of pointers before we get into it is it's important that you land on this part of your arms instead of your elbows. When you land on your elbows, the ball tends to pop out. And also, if you've been watching the IPL, our Ashwin, he landed badly on his elbow and that dislocated his shoulder. Now we don't want injuries, so it's best to land on this part of your arm and extend your arms and slide forward. The forward dive is also called the Superman because you're completely stretched out. And for you to be completely stretched out, it's difficult if you land on your elbows because then you'll get stuck and you might land on your arms instead of extending those arms. And that only happens when you land on this part. So we're just going to look at how to land when you dive forward. So let's get into it. To practice our forward diving, I'm using a mat. We can also use a mattress if you have that at home. So the important thing in forward diving is how you land. You want to be careful as to how you land on your elbows or your knees. So we don't want to land on our elbows or knees. We want to land on the front part of our arms or forearms, as I'm demonstrating here. So start in a kneeling position, and then we are going to slide forward as if you're diving into a swimming pool almost. So this allows you to stretch out your arms and you are sliding along the ground, so you are not landing hard on your body. If we land hard on our body, then there's a tendency for the ball to pop out and also for you to be winded. So if you land on your chest, it'll knock the wind right out of you and then you'll feel a little disoriented sometimes. So we don't want this feeling. We want a smooth transition from the air to the ground, and the best way to do that is to slide. Also, as you can see, I'm sliding with my hands facing up. So this ensures that my fingers and palm gets under the ball and the ball doesn't touch the ground. Also, if you slide or dive with your palm facing forward and your fingers facing down or your fingers pointing down, there may be a tendency to hurt your finger because your finger might get stuck as you're moving forward and go under your body. I've had this happen once or twice and it really hurts. So we don't want that to happen. We want to make sure that our hands and fingers get under the ball, and for that to happen when we're diving forward, we need our palms facing up. Now you can also use a ball, you're holding onto it, so when you slide or dive forward, you can feel the ball in your hands and you can see whether the ball is going to pop out or how well you're going to hold on to the ball to make sure your grip stays fairly tight so that the ball doesn't pop out. I've also found that sometimes if you use powder on the mat, this also helps to enable you to slide better and smoother, so you can slide a bit further and more easily. So if you're at a ground and you have the covers for the wicket, some people will put some soapy water or just water and you can practice sliding on that. This helps so that you don't get stuck halfway through your slide. When we're diving forward, it is important that we land on our forearms and slide forward in a Superman pose or position. This is because if we land on our elbows first, because of the angle of the elbows, and it's kind of like the knee, so it gets stuck in the ground, and your body may overshoot your arms. So as you can see, your arms might get stuck under your body, but also your elbows act as shock absorbers when you catch. But when your shock absorbers get hit, then the ball may pop out. So you may juggle the ball, you may not catch it on the first attempt, or it may pop out completely, as you see here. So it's important that we don't land on our elbows. Also because I don't know if you've been watching the IPL, but if you have and if you've watched other games, sometimes when the fielder lands on their elbow or elbows, there is a possibility that your shoulder may get dislocated because of the impact on the elbow, and it jars and your shoulder may get dislocated. So we want to avoid injury as far as possible, and be safe, but also a solid fielder. So try not to land on your elbows. So in this way, if you practice the sliding, this will help land on your forearms and slide forward in a Superman position. Now, if we land like this in a swimming pool while diving, we'd call it a belly flop. We don't want to land flush on our body. We want to slide forward as if we're doing a good swimming dive with our hands first. So we don't want to land on our body. As I said earlier, this might knock the wind out of you and you might hurt your chest, and you might get bruised, or you might just feel a little disoriented, and we don't want that to happen. There's also a possibility that you might knock your head, and this may lead to concussion and stuff like that. So to avoid these things, we want to slide forward in a stylish manner. Fielding, batting, bowling, whatever you do, if it's stylish, it's actually easier on the body as well. It's smooth, and that's very important. The progression to sliding forward is to start in a standing position. The important thing is we are still looking to slide forward and not fall or drop on our bodies. And so we want to get low and then slide forward. Just like if we were fielding in a game and we need to dive forward to, say, take a catch, we are going to get low to the ground. So we're running fast. We have gotten low to the ground, bending our knees and bending with our backs as well. And then we are going to slide for that extra distance. So I'm calling this a slide to emphasize the motion. This is a forward dive, but you want to slide into it to cover that ground. And also on good grounds, the surface will be even, the grass will also be evenly cut, so it'll be easier to do this. And like, for example, the ground I'm doing it on, the grass isn't very even, it's also hard, so I'm using a mat. And this helps me to practice my sliding forward for my forward dive. Well, I enjoyed that. I definitely enjoy diving, and forward diving is one of my favorites. And the important things are, of course, again, to land on this part of your arms. You are fully outstretched. You may have noticed that when I landed on my elbows when I was falling forward or diving forward, the ball has a tendency to pop out. Once it popped out completely, once it just popped, I caught it again, but there was a slight wobble. And when I landed on this part of my arms, there was no wobble. The ball was in my hands. At home, if you have a mattress, you can use that as well to practice your forward dives. Or you can use a mat like I have used. If you're at the ground, you can use covers and you can put some water or soap water on it, and that will help you slide through. I've used some powder, and that sometimes helps to slide as well, just to make it a little easier for you to get into that rhythm and technique of how to do it. Hope that was useful. Start diving forward smartly and safely. Safety is very important. We do not want to get injured. We want to keep playing for as long as possible. So thanks for requesting this video. I had tons of fun making it. Try it out and let me know how it goes. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Have fun diving.